Oh, okay.
Oh, we started recording. Thank you, John.
Walked through the doors and literally have never left. So at the time I was in graduate school and was studying youth in a different way. I was focusing on youth rights internationally, youth voice internationally, but I'd seen a lot of out of school time programs, never witnessed what I did that day when I walked through the doors, which was kids 8 to 18, all genuinely laughing, joking, interacting, and adults and kids joking, interacting. And I found the founder and CEO Khali Sweeney and just started peppering him with questions. Didn't even work out that day. And like I said, have never left. So the name of our program, I think, can be quite misleading. It is a boxing gym. Yes, the kids do learn the discipline of the sport, but of our just under 200 kids, only a couple of them actually compete in boxing. The real focus for Khali was to create a space that he wished he would have had growing up. So he was unfortunately the statistic, right? He grew up in Detroit, got passed from grade to grade. The narrative was created for him that he was going to be dead or in jail by the time he was 21, couldn't read or write, has dyslexia, didn't know that then. And unfortunately, dyslexia or not, many kids are still facing that same experience, right? So much longer, deeper story, but got into his 20s and realized, well, never been to jail, never touched drugs or alcohol, clearly not dead. A whole lot of people have been lying to me. Asked himself what would make him happy, and it was to learn how to read, went back to school, and then decided that he didn't want that win to just be a personal win for him, but needed it to be a win for the whole community. And so he knew for himself he would have never gone to a program that was very academic sounding, especially because school had already pushed him away, right? So then to go to something that was, the Detroit Reading Center just would have never happened, but a boxing gym for sure, especially because so many people would tell him, you're such an angry kid, you should learn how to box, right? And he's like, well, I'm only angry because I can't function, not because I'm just by nature angry. So he designed the program really to try to attract and serve kids that are going through a similar experience. So program is hyper individualized. We test every single kid. Really monthly, we have our own evaluation model that focuses a lot on social emotional work, the key areas that we feel are, key indicators for success of a young person. Obviously, we look at grades, but we do a much deeper dive into literacy and math intervention. And then health, nutrition, just sense of well-being, does that child think that they are going to be successful? And then, like I said, we create an individualized plan for every single student. Our kids are 8 to 18, although we do formally support them through college graduation or that next step of their journey. If it's a career path, trade school, our program is totally free, has always been. We work really hard to remove all barriers. So we provide transportation to and from the program, door-to-door service, so pick up from school, bring them, or pick them up from home and bring them and take them back home. Food is key. So always dinner, snack. During the summer, our kids are with us all day. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the really special thing is our students are with us. They have to come at least 3 days a week, which never is a problem. And they are with us all year long, all year round for years. So really, really special opportunity to get to know every kid, find those light bulb moments, and then, build the scaffolding and support to help them get to where they're trying to go.
And brag about that high school graduation rate.
Yeah, every single student that's gone through our program has graduated from high school. So we have over 300 high school graduates. 98% have gone off to college and are now graduating from college. And those that didn't choose college are, went direct into a career. So really proud. And I think it just speaks volumes to our team. Not only are they graduating, but they are graduating able to read and ready to go into college and handle that next step, which is a challenge, even if you're coming out of a solid school district, right? So, and then,
So when I met you for the first time, thinking way, way back, you were about to transition from a little tiny storefront kind of building that had how many kids? You were busting at the seams.
Yeah, we had 65 and a waiting list of 350 at that time.
Yeah. And so a very famous person came and offered to help.
Sure. Yeah. We were able to get our new building in part, not totally, but in part
Right.
because of the help of Madonna, which was just a random occurrence. Having
Who
her
came
show up.
and said, I heard about your program. I want to help. What can I do? And it
Yeah.
was, we need a building. We don't have enough room. And so this
Yeah.
fascinating building that you were able to get was a former bookbinding, bookmaking,
Yep.
lithography kind of,
Yep.
of building. And clearly not designed to be a gym or a classroom, but big enough. And tell us a little bit about those energy bills that you started with.
Yeah. So we moved from a 4,000 square foot building to a 27,000 square foot building, and didn't totally know how we were going to pay for any of it, but we knew it was the right thing to do, and had support. But like I said, we had a waiting list at that time. We now are just under 200 kids and a waiting list of over 1,600 kids. So our waiting list hasn't gotten any better.
Which
but
is
yeah,
good.
I mean,
That means you're doing the right thing. Right?
I mean, this is true, but it's a heartbreaking
Yeah.
dynamic. Yeah. So our essentially it's a brick building or block building, and the walls were like Swiss cheese, old single pane windows. If we would have turned the heat on full days, which we didn't, the bill would have easily gotten to about $12,000. We were paying about 10,000, $8,000 to $10,000, and had
A
no
month.
air a month. Yeah. And the building was frigid, even with that. And then in the summer we had no air. And I mean, at one time I checked the temperature in my office and it was 108 degrees, just sitting there dripping, which whatever. I mean, I didn't care. I was so happy to be in that building. It didn't matter, but it was not a good workspace for our kids or for us really. You're asking kids to sit for hours and study and they're like dripping sweat or freezing cold. So we went on this journey to figure out, how do we make this building comfortable and beautiful? We often would say, we use the phrase a lot, why wouldn't we, right? Why wouldn't we want the absolute best for our kids? I think there's a really messed up dynamic in doing really nonprofit work in general. There's this feeling of, well, just put multiple layers on. Why would you want to invest in that? Well, if the kids can't see something to strive for, if in their place that they trust every day, when it rains in the building, when it snows, you're freezing, when it's hot, you're hot. And then you go home and it's a similar experience, that just becomes normal. And then you don't strive for anything different because you don't know anything different. And so we were really determined to figure out a way to make our building comfortable and, like I said, and beautiful. And so, in talking to so many people, Diane included, is like, how do we do this? Funding was not available. We were not willing to go in debt. Like I said, taking the leap, going from into that massive building was already a huge risk. Our board at times, they're amazing, but they're like, just patch it, right? Like, why do you want to do a whole energy project? And, after learning about this, it's like, well, if we just put the roof and the walls are still Swiss cheese, what's the point? If we, just do the windows and we don't fix the roof, what's the point? Like, you got to think about it as a whole system. And because that is not how typical construction is still done, at least that's been my experience, that concept it took a while to get everybody to understand what
And
we
I
need.
know
And we have
you
a
have
sawtooth roof, so that makes the roof
Yeah.
more expensive. That it's a huge building with funky stuff going on. We didn't know this when we bought it. The roof was, like I said, abnormal. So
and we'll hear from Brandon in a little while about the challenges of putting solar on that crazy roof too. Let's check in with Jen Server and see if he was able to get those slides. And
oh, you're on mute.
John, you're on mute.
Yeah, I did get them. Do you want me to do the share screen now?
Yes, can we do that? And we'll just move on very quickly. I also see that Kat Diggs is on the call, and we're always so happy to see Kat, who is now at University of Michigan in graduate school. Hi, Kat. If you can post the video that you've made about the boxing gym, then people can check that out at their own time, and to share with others, definitely, because it does have a great capturing of all of this in a shorter amount of time. But for now, we're going to do this. So here's the interior of the boxing gym. So John, can you put that so it's view, like slideshow view?
Yeah, well, I'd like to.
Okay, up on top, the
Well, it's blocked by the, it's blocked by my bar. I can't.
Oh.
Hit enable editing at the top and then you'll be able to do it.
Okay,
Can you see it? Enable editing. It's directly above the white on the right-hand side.
Oh.
Oh, there you,
kind of. We're kind of there. Okay, that's
Oh.
nice. Okay. Okay, so here's a nice view from the interior. And what we can see here is part of the big open space of the boxing gym. And Jessica, what else are we seeing here? The new lunch area.
Yeah, this is our temporary kitchen. We're actually, construction just started on a commercial kitchen that we're putting in.
An unexpected expense.
Yeah, I mean, this is welcome to my life, right? The health code changed and now we're required to put in a commercial kitchen. But we also do cooking classes that our kids are obsessed with. One thing I didn't get a chance to say is we do a ton of college and career readiness work. So we start actually doing that work with our elementary school students and then build on it as they grow. And cooking is, culinary is actually, right now, a lot of kids are really into it.
Yeah. And you had a little garden out there this summer, I saw it too. So kids
Yep.
were learning how to garden. They're
Yeah,
learning.
compost. We
You
have
have a rain
bees back
garden.
there, rain garden to capture the, the drainage.
Doing all the great green things. Okay, John, let's move it ahead. So we've just gone through the story. Thank you. So what I really like too about the boxing gym is the confidence that the kids get through this program. So it's not about learning how to fight. It's learning about how to be confident with everything that life gives you. And I know you've seen that over and over again. Okay, so here's the story with how you started. Anything you want to add to this slide?
No, I think I covered it.
That's a great slide too. Okay, so let's go on to the solar story then. And Brandon, you're here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, so when you came in, this was what, 2019?
Sorry, my partner doesn't. I'm on a Zoom call.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. Sorry, I just had to tell my partner. So,
Okay.
and my cat's here with me today too.
Oh.
So I'm doing this new COVID variant is just really making things difficult again, huh? So
are you still in isolation?
I'm in isolation, but it just feels like we're back to the start of the pandemic and doing
Yeah,
Zoom calls
I
again.
know.
And but yeah,
Well, solar stories, that's the great thing, is that around the state of Michigan, people get to join us with solar stories. So tell us about your part of the downtown boxing gym.
Yeah. I heard about the project from the Green Garage team. I went to a presentation of theirs, and this was in 2018.
Tom Brennan?
Yep. And Joe Gallagher. They were working on the project since for a long time. So, and then they put it out for bid in 2019, and we bid on the project. It was there was some interesting aspects to it. One was the service voltage for the building is a 240 volt delta or 240 high leg system. So that's 3-phase, but it's kind of an uncommon voltage that we had to match. So the electrical design, we ended up putting in a transformer, and we put in a 480 volt solar edge inverter. And then we found a transformer that could match the 240 volt delta system that the service voltage for the building's on. So that was really tricky.
And that's part of
figuring-
the legacy of using a adaptive reuse project when the building was built and wired for one use, and then another use comes along that has a
And
whole
that- on
different
the-
system.
On the budget of that too, so you can do, you know, on each phase, you can put single phase inverters. So the original design was to actually have 6, 10 to 11 kilowatt solar edge inverters, which the cost of those are, you know, to us as installers are usually about 2,500 to 3,000. But the 3-phase 66 kilowatt inverters are also around, you know, $4,000 to get that. And then on the commercial systems, you can double up your panels per optimizer on the roof. So we were able to cut half the optimizer cost. And so we presented that to Tom from Green Garage. And so we had an innovative concept on the electrical side. And then, so the roof is actually from Carlisle TPO brand. And we were not allowed to penetrate this roof. And so you're looking at, on the picture on the right, you can see it more clearly, that square right there, that's the actual structural attachment to the roof. And we had to work with the roofing company that put in the Carlisle brand TPO roof to actually hot weld that product. A company called Anchor Products makes a matching flashing. And yeah, you come up with a heat gun and with rollers, and those get fastened through a hot weld with no penetrations. And so the concern with the penetrations, Tom from Green Garage was calling it like a radiator effect, that all the heat would have been attracted to all the lag bolts coming through the roof. And so that was another, you know, tricky aspect. And then we had, you can't really see it on this, but we had certain places that we had to come off the building to work on, you know, where we had to have our drops down to get our cabling down to the service room. So yeah, it was really exciting though to be part of there's a lot of innovation, you know, not just on the solar side. So you know, we just tried to add our piece, and it was a mix of technical solutions, but also being conscious to the budget and how we could save money for, you know, everybody involved, and also get a nice, you know, system installed. So those are some of the aspects that, you know, we've been working on.
And I gotta say, although our energy bills are not a perfect representation of what it'll be moving forward, because it's COVID, we have our fresh air coming in at like full blast. So our bills are more than what they probably will be, but they are now, you know, they went from, like I said, about 10,000, and that's not even having stuff on all the time, to at the most about $1,000 right now. So it's incredible. And Brandon, thank you for everything. I didn't really know anything about any of this, and I just remember sitting in multiple meetings where Tom and team were like, "Well, Brandon's so innovative, and this is just the design." They just raved about how creative and, you know, innovative. I don't know if creative was the right word, the word they used, but they were just the way you think about it and, you know, put this together, especially with it being such an unusual set of
The
circumstances.
problem solving.
Yeah.
John, why don't you forward a few more slides too? We can see a little bit more of the detail there. So here you can see the that sawtooth, and tell us again, it's 68 kilowatts that went on.
Yeah, on the DC side, it's about 70
DC.
kilowatts. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And the inverter's a 66K. And so yeah, I mean, we had some interesting challenges though too with and we're still having to work it out. We've had the rapid shutdown mechanism of these inverters trigger a bunch of times. So I've spent more time down at the downtown boxing gym getting that error off the inverters a bunch of times. And so you see there right here on the right picture is the original inverter. But we actually added a second inverter to just balance things. So there's two 33 kilowatt inverters up there now. And that's all the piping there. And then on the left, which was another really interesting part of this project, well, there was pressure. We had the looming DTE net metering cutoff staring us down on November 5th, and you had to of 2019. And so, and Diane, you were part of this because we were trying to secure these SILFab modules from you, and we had this big effort, and then ultimately we couldn't get the SILFab modules in time, and we had to change it to a Trina 310 that you had in stock.
Right.
But we
Right.
pulled it off, and we got our electric tag, our sticker there on the left. That's the approval tag, and we got it into net metering before the cutoff. And I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that was a really intense period.
Yep.
Yeah.
One
So-
of the slides of the workers up on the roof, I notice, is as the sun is setting. So you're still up
Yeah.
on that roof at sunset time. It's a great picture with the sunset, but it kind of demonstrates how long your crew was out on the roof. Yeah, that's when the panels were flying out the door right and left because everyone was desperate to get those last projects done. So Jessica, is there anything that you, with the youth there, would be interested in with helping kids get into the solar industry? Or I know you do like science and art and different kinds of programming. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a way that we could be working to help get more youth involved in renewables.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that we talk about a lot. We definitely brought our kids along on this journey, the journey of our building from, acquiring the space to all the early construction, up until, every step of the way. So we have a STEAM lab coordinator, and it is definitely a priority of his to continue these conversations and continue to inspire our kids and get them involved in, what hopefully will just be the norm, which is everybody tapping, using solar. So I think
Well, I
that
want you to know there's over 20 people on this call who represent a wealth of knowledge
yeah,
in renewables, who
Well, that's
I
fantastic.
imagine, and a few Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association board members as well, who maybe this is a challenge we could be taking up too, is to develop more curriculum. Janice, I think that's something you've been involved with at community college level, or what kind of programming is available out there to help with the after school programs to learn more about renewables?
I don't have a lot of information on that. I was at Lawrence Tech, which is a
Oh,
university.
Lawrence Tech, right.
Yeah, and I was always pushing for us to go into, like, as far down as junior high, to interest students in, well, all STEM areas, but I didn't have a whole lot of luck with that.
Well, now's your chance. We can maybe do something with this program, because the kids have to work on their homework and a lot of education before they get to go out there and put the gloves on. So
I love
there's
it.
a lot of opportunity for us to work. Anybody else have any suggestions for some after school programming for the downtown boxing gym youth to learn more about renewables in general, but the world of ecology, environment? I mean, you're the brain trust here too.
Yeah, well,
the people who are participating.
We should consult with Dave Conkle because, Dave has been doing a lot of work with schools too. And,
Right, right.
you
He's
know,
got some videos. Yeah.
yeah, there was a whole program that promoted solar in various schools around the state. And that included curriculum. And so I'm guessing that a lot of those programs still exist. And Dave would be one person that could probably give us some suggestions, where to go and who to talk to.
Great suggestion. And he's right there in Ipsy, so he's pretty close by. Or even speakers, if there's somebody that maybe could come in and give a talk about. The nice thing about your building is it's on a fairly busy road, and but still people aren't used to looking at the roof, right? And so maybe some signage out there too at this point that we could help people understand how the building's working and how this all makes the world a better place in the future.
Yep.
The irony is that we learned that DTE bought the big, rather large parcel across the street, and they say they're putting a substation in.
So they definitely are. Yeah, I just had a bunch of people from DTE at the gym last week trying to make friends with them. Maybe wrong thing to say on this call.
Well, no, you have to make friends with your neighbors. We understand, but
Yeah, but it's happening for sure.
which is really curious why they would put a substation right there, but yeah, we don't know. Well, we still have a half an hour. Kat, is it something that you'd like to be able to show the video that you made? Does it
Well, I
make
have a
sense
quick
for?
question.
Okay.
This is a little bit tangential to the discussion, but how does the school finance itself? It sounds like you must do a lot of fundraising.
Yeah, it's 100% done, or we're 100% funded with donations. We don't have any federal, intentionally, we've tried to avoid, large government grants because it ends up pushing you in a different direction. So, yep, it is all with the kindness of, people's hearts, corporate foundation, individual. Now our budget to support our kids and including growth, because we're adding another 100 students for this fiscal year, we're at about $3.7 million.
That you raise every year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Perhaps DTE moving in across the street is it's worth cultivating that friendship and see if they can they really pitch in to make the building even greener, so they can write it up as be one of their successes.
Yep, that's the hope.
You'd actually just like a few of the parking spots across the street.
Yeah,
too,
well,
so,
that's one
yeah.
thing. Yeah, they're taking over the area where we park, and we're building out, a campus feel because we do have such a huge waiting list. We're trying to, we just purchased some additional land and want to build a building, another building that will have our STEAM lab and music programming, and we're having conversations about actually supporting kids younger than third grade, since third grade is such a pivotal age. There's a lot of research behind if you hit third grade and you're already struggling, it's already an uphill battle. So, fingers crossed, I'm trying to get DTE to pay for that space. We'll see.
Well, that would be cool.
That
Yeah.
should also have solar panels and, all sorts of stuff.
Well, now that DTE is not going to be sponsoring Pine Knob anymore, they have a whole chunk of change available for you.
Exactly. They can just transfer it, just. Yeah, I mean, I can mention, just because I don't know if anybody has any interest, but in just humanizing the story even more since COVID's been brought up. I will just take a minute and say what we did during COVID. We did not miss a single day of programming. We did go remote for about 3 months while we reworked our building. got approval from the governor's office to open before the state had even reopened, because it was really, really important for our kids to have a space to come to. And so we have had kids in our building since, gosh, June of 2020, right? Yeah. This is 2022, June of 2020, and thankfully have not had a single issue. But when the school was still virtual, we actually expanded our programming. Had kids in our space 7 a.m. till 7 p.m, supported all of their virtual learning, and then ran our program. We're sending food home to the entire family. So normally we feed our kids, but we found a way to be able to send food boxes home to make sure the whole family was eating, sent technology home, internet, different internet connections. I mean, PPE, you name it, we were doing it just to make sure everybody was all right, kept all of our employees employed. We actually have a lot of our parents on staff, and when we did our evaluation of if we would have had to lay anyone off, the first round would have been positions that our parents hold, which is completely counter to everything we were trying to do. So we worked with our board and made a commitment that we were not going to do that if we could at all help it. And we didn't have to, which is amazing. And now that DPS is virtual again, we immediately pivoted and are back to full day programming. Thankfully, we have not had a single DBG COVID spread at all,
That's
not with our
amazing.
kids, not with our staff, but we did rework.
Bravo.
Brandon he probably noticed some of it, but made things touchless that could be separated, spaces, and we've still been picking up and dropping off our kids this whole time. So really a testament to the commitment of our team to keep everyone, and the kids really, to keep everyone safe and protected. But
Do you have a
proud of
vaccination program for kids now? A way to get them to their,
Yeah, I mean, definitely sharing knowledge and information and helping to break down myths and fears. But we haven't
Right,
set
right,
up a
right.
vaccination
Yeah.
clinic or anything.
okay. If there's any questions, and then Kat, I don't know if how long is the video that you made?
Hey, it's great to see you, Jessica and Diane. It's been a minute.
Yeah, well, you've been
Um,
busy in school, I know.
Yeah. It's been weird at U of M. Like we're residential, but it's all kind of hybrid right now. Yeah, so the video is about 8 minutes long. I actually have a call in like 5 minutes.
Well, we can, you've got it posted, so people can just click on to that. And then also, thank you for posting that for us. And then I also see that Stacy Grant, she leads impact partnerships with Planet Detroit, which I don't know if everybody has signed on with Planet Detroit, but it's a great program, media program to help share good news about Detroit, especially around the environment. And she says, let's pitch a story on this. So that's a great idea that we can follow up with. Because Jessica, I know you like all the publicity you can get, because that helps spread the word and also helps bring in donors as well. So we will be in touch with Stacy on that. Any other questions? There's also a question about the how many girls are in the program, and I'm always surprised, but there are a lot of girls.
Yep, I just
that
put the
come in.
response in there. I said it fluctuates a bit as we bring in new students off the waiting list, but it's about a 60-40 split at the moment.
Where's the school located?
We're on the east side, about a mile from the Eastern Market.
I've been.
Which, if anyone is local and wants to come by, it's one thing to hear me talk about it, but I'll tell you, every single person that comes to even after hearing about it or seeing videos, they come in, they're like, oh my God, I thought I understood, but I didn't. Like seeing it, being in the space just is a different feeling. So would love to welcome anyone that is interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that note, Jessica, what is it? Can you just kind of drop in? I'd love to drop in at some point in the future.
Yeah, for an actual tour, it's better if it's scheduled.
Okay.
However, if you want to drop in, if you just give me a heads up, if you want to drop in and just observe kind of on your own without a tour, I'm happy to facilitate that.
Okay, so just like reach out via email if you ever want to
Yeah.
schedule like to visit. Okay, cool.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Jessica, if you can type in your contact information in the notes, some people
Sure.
may want to be following up with that. Another interesting part about this area where the boxing gym landed, and this is where my interest initially started, is it's in an area we call the Beltline, which historically was the edge of the city in the 1890s. It wasn't even the Belle Isle yet. So this was still pretty small boundaries of Detroit. And a railroad line was put down from the main Grand Trunk Railroad to go from, if you can imagine where I-94 freeway is, long before the freeway was there, but the railroad cluster up there sent a spur down to the river. And so this became the Beltline. Really, that was what it was called, the Beltline. And those of us on the east side here, we kind of think of this as the Beltline as a specific industrial core that was built for an era of the late 1800s up until about the 1950s, 1960s. Packard plants, lots of cats and dogs of different kinds of industries that depended on that rail line. And so it's this really unique area that I've been interested in for many years, with seeing it become more and more solarized, or the history of it develop more. And so this is also where there's the Capuchin soup kitchen, the Capuchin whole monastery is there with Solanus Casey. I'm trying to think of what they call that. They're trying to canonize the Solanus Casey as a former brother there. The Earthworks Gardens, the Gleaners Food Bank, and the Avalon Kitchen is there where they do all their baking for the Avalon. So it's this whole corridor that used to be industrial, and this bookbinding place was one of them, right? So there's a really great history there, and also a really great opportunity to take that old area and have it now be reborn as the next generation, instead of it just being left behind, which it literally was for quite a few years. Now there's a lot of interest in redeveloping it toward the new, greener Detroit. That's why I'm a little chagrined that DTE decided to buy property there. Kind of flies in the face of it. But it's just such a great location now for you to be in, and just a real hub of activity, and more solar. We're so excited about more and more solar. We're working with the Capuchins to get them on board next. So we'll have more. Any other questions then about programs, solar? Brandon, anything you thought of that you want to add to the story?
Yeah, I've had a lot of time at the downtown boxing gym, and I just definitely agree. It's important for the experiences of youth to have somewhere to go, and you just feel community in the space, and it's brought together a lot of companies and contractors, and there's always something big happening at the gym. It's just something's going on, it's major, and it's just the feeling around there. So
It's quite a team.
yeah.
And Khali, right, is such a dynamic director,
Yeah.
founder. John Server, if we could go back to the slides, we tried to embed a video in there that was produced by Dick's Sporting Goods. And I don't know if we tried to show that, but that's a good way for us to go out. And we can just say,
They show our video. Some of them.
I'm not sure how it was embedded in there. Julianne, if you're still on. Oh, no, it's your Wi-Fi crashed again. Enable editing, I think that's, oh, okay. Jen, you and I are going to have to take lessons one of these days. How we're gonna, oh, it says resume slideshow up in the corner on the left. Okay. Well, if you go to the Downtown Boxing Gym website, you will be able to see lots of videos and lots of pictures about the Downtown Boxing Gym. And I'm going to make sure I have my my lessons by next week or next month. So we can have another Detroit solar story. They're always exciting and they're always so fascinating to meet the different people who are doing solar in Detroit in completely different ways. But always tying a better environment with the good work that you're doing. So
Jessica,
thank you.
Jessica, do you ever rent space out for events at the gym?
We do. We've had weddings. We've had all sorts of cool stuff in there.
Okay.
Are you still, even with COVID, having rentals?
Yeah. You know, I mean, it looks
Okay.
a little different now, right? But
Yeah.
But yes,
That's great. And it is a really cool big space where
It's a
the
cool space.
rings are. Yeah. There's
yeah.
a drum kit set up, or there's always
Yeah, we have a
something
whole
going
music program. Yeah. We do it all. We do it all.
That's so cool. Okay, any other questions? Was that a question? Yeah. Go ahead. Tom, you're muted. Tom, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry, trying to find the button to unmute here.
Okay.
Just, I'm interested just in the, you talked about the population of the kids. Are they, can you tell me about the age span that's
Sure.
involved? And
Yeah.
also, are they doing anything in terms of technical skill development? And, you know, certainly it's a big challenge, just the raw educational part of it. But, you know, some of these kids may not decide to go to college or that doesn't work out. And, you know, beginning them down a path of skill development and, you know, the electronics or the, you know, technical plumbing or, you know, those kinds of things are skill areas that are important and will become more important because that's an area that when they're, you know, adults, there's going to be need for those kinds of skills. So those, I'm just curious about, you know, in terms of the age span and, you know, the kind of orientation training.
Yep. So our kids are 8 to 18, and then we continue to support our students till about 25. So, you know, through college or trade school graduation or into a career. But we don't, but the oldest we let new kids in is 18. So 8 to 18, and then continue to support. And yes, I mean, because our program is so hyper individualized, it becomes very evident which kids are going to go down which path, right? And then we connect them to different resources and help support that, you know, whatever their journey is, whatever their dream is, help them get there. So for many, you know, I don't want to say many, for some of our students, it has been trades, and we've connected them to different groups. And for others, it's, you know, college and more of a, you know, marketing, engineering, medical school, that type of stuff. But we really, really don't, we intentionally do not force anything. It is we do exposure, meaningful exposure to everything we possibly can, and then continue to build on, you know, you see that like little peak of interest, and then you just continue to build on it year over year over year over year. So we don't do a bunch of generic stuff. It's like, oh, you liked computer coding? Amazing. Like, let's continue to help help you build on that.
And you have quite a large staff.
We do. We have,
with-
yeah, we have just under 50 paid employees. And we also have hundreds of amazing volunteers that come and help support.
Yeah, and the education staff is much bigger than the boxing staff. So you have just a couple fitness coaches, but most everybody, you know, for the different age groups.
Yeah,
there's a
I would
lot
say
of-
the athletics is incredibly important for that hour of play, right? I mean, Khali always says, and I think he got it from a philosopher, but you know, you can learn more about somebody in an hour of play than a lifetime of questioning. So that hour of play, whatever that looks like, if it's music or chess or athletics or cooking, like whatever that hour of play is when you really get to understand what's going on with that young person. And then, you know, obviously the academics is key, but if you're just like pounding academics and you don't know who you're talking to, that's not useful. But we do have on staff certified teachers. I mean, you know, it's quite intense.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we answered all the questions that, well, I found it interesting that somebody was a former book manufacturer employee and was interested what company it was that used to be there. Is Dave still on? That, yeah, interesting. So we can wrap now, and I would say that we will be back with you, Jessica, with some suggestions on how to get more of our trades in as at least speakers or ways to get kids more, or, you know, they could be checking the daily weather with how many kilowatts were produced that day. And, you know, we could be working on ideas like that as well.
Yeah, we'll
to
love all the ideas.
make that connection. And the sun is shining, we're making electricity right here in our own building.
Yep.
So with that, thank you, Brandon. Again, I think you've been my #1 installer speaker. So I'm going to give you a break. And
That was intentional.
I know
Right,
you
did a
like
lot
coming
to
on.
get into the Detroit and get solar
I
out
know
of Detroit.
you've got you've got a lot of projects here for us to talk about. So
So you guys, I just want to say hi to everybody. And I also want
Deborah.
to say hi. It's so great to see all of you. This is so-
Yeah,
But also I had to miss the beginning so I can see it's recorded. And John, you're going to send that out or somebody else send it out because I want to see what I missed.
it's John. Can you tell everyone how they can find all the solar stories listed?
Well, you just have to, we have a YouTube channel, GLREA, so you just have to go to YouTube and kind of search for GLREA and you'll find
Okay,
it.
great.
You'll find all the
Wonderful.
stories. And there's one of our brain trust right there with Deborah Rowe for knowing how to reach kids to talk about how solar works. So I think our time is up. I'm working for next month.